Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Africa Thrive Live. My name is Naomi Kirungu. I am based here in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'd just like to welcome you. I'm one of your co-hosts today. You'll get to meet my fellow co-hosts soon. And I'd like to welcome everyone who's watching us on YouTube. If you're tuning in from LinkedIn and Facebook as well. We are so glad and honored and very thankful that you took time to join us this evening after a full day's work. We hope and believe that this session will edify you, it will inspire you, and it will overall add value to you and your business. Yeah, so we are really glad to have you. So, how about you go on the comment section and let us know where you're tuned in from? Would love to read and see where everyone is tuned in from. So, to have this conversation today, I'm joined by my co host, who's no stranger to y'all. Her name is Irene Okoye. So, help me welcome Irene, my fellow co host who's based in South Africa. There you
Hi,
go. Hi,
Naomi.
Irene. Hi,
Hi.
Irene. How about you introduce yourself to everyone?
All right. My name is Irene Okoye. As Naomi said, I'm based in South Africa, business development manager. And yeah, it's splendid to have you join us today to have another exciting conversation.
Yeah, I really like how you look, Irene. Like, what's the occasion? Yeah, I love your beads.
Thanks, Naomi. So South Africa celebrates Heritage Day today, which is basically a celebration of the cultural diversity, which brings us together. We are diverse in many ways, but also interconnected through our heritage. So that's what the country celebrates today.
Wow, so happy Heritage Day to you, Irene,
Thank
and
you.
everyone who's tuned in from South Africa. I hope you guys will give us some history lesson of what's behind Heritage Day on the comment section and as we go. Um, and thank you, Irene, for taking time to work on a public holiday. Yeah, so we are very very grateful. And one of our guests as well. So Irene and I represent AMI, which stands for African Management Institute. And allow me to introduce AMI to you in case this is the very first time you're interacting with us. And as you do that, Irene, I think people can also introduce themselves to us. Yeah. So go on the comment section as we introduce AMI. Just introduce your business to us and everyone who's tuned in. Irene will read some of those comments and would love to hear more about your business and where you're tuned in from. Yeah. So, like I said in the beginning, AMI stands for African Management Institute, and we enable ambitious businesses from across this continent to thrive. And we do this through practical tools and training. Yeah. And right at this particular moment in time, we have so many resources and tools available to help entrepreneurs navigate this pandemic that we are in and also to grow their businesses. So I'll quickly take you through them because the resources are available for free. So one, we have Rise, which is our weekly reflection and meditation session. So, as entrepreneurs, we carry so many responsibilities, and these sessions really just help us put our mental and emotional wellness and health at check. And they are run by our resident psychologist and co-founder, Jonathan Cook. And they happen every week. So you could always register every Monday mornings. Then we have our weekly Thrive newsletter. So we have a team that sits and we put together resources, funding opportunities, any relevant news out there for entrepreneurs. We have it. We put it in this newsletter and we send it out every week. So it's something you could subscribe to get your weekly news. And then we have our monthly learning and speed networking sessions. So these are more structured workshops, and they're designed to help entrepreneurs to network and also to learn from one another. And this particular month, as you can see on your screen, this will be a speed networking session, but we also have a guest speaker. Her name is Shiro Waweru. She's a renowned entrepreneur, in Kenya, when Michelle Obama was here, she really acknowledged the work that she was doing. She's won several awards. So she'll be talking about how she's connecting with customers now. So there'll be that. And we'll also get to have a customer profiling tool available for you for free. So this is a session you don't want to miss if you're keen to build your networks and during the structured speed networking. And then last but not least, we have the Survive to Thrive program. So we are really excited because we have opened our second and final applications this year for full scholarships. So take advantage of this opportunity. The Survive to Thrive program is basically a 6-month program that supports entrepreneurs navigate this season with tools, with skills and strategies. So it's a great program for you to apply. And we're particularly encouraging female entrepreneurs to apply just to help you navigate this season and even grow your business. And then last but definitely not least, we have these conversations that we host with Irene every single month called Africa Thrive Live. And we come here to learn from other entrepreneurs, to be inspired, and to network. So to plug into any of these resources I've mentioned, please go to our Thrive page. It will be displayed on your screen very shortly. That's africanmanagers.org/thrive, and you'll get to plug into any of these resources. Irene.
Awesome, Naomi. So it looks like we do have a couple of people who are tuning in, and mostly on YouTube. There's David who's tuning in from Zambia, and Yakini, who's also here watching us through YouTube. And we have Rosemary from Kenya. So keep telling us where you're watching from. If you have any questions, please feel free to send us those questions. It would be lovely to have this conversation with you because it's about you. Naomi, I don't know if you're ready for us to get into it.
Yeah, I think we are. I just encourage people to continue introducing yourselves. I would love to read more from your comments. Let me read one last comment and then we'll get to the flesh of today. Yeah. So I see Brian, who's on Facebook. He introduced his company. He's called Brainverse Technologies. So it's an IT company and it does a lot of software and app development. So thanks for joining, Brian. We have Alexia on LinkedIn. She's currently an entrepreneur and she's coming from employment. She was a business development manager at eLimu. Yakini is joining us. His business, let's see, he's from Lagos, Nigeria. Helps clients solve problems of occupational health and safety challenges. Yeah. So tell us more about your businesses, guys. Would like to hear what you're all doing and where you're based. And Irene, how about you start us off for today?
Sure, Naomi. I know entrepreneurs are going through such an interesting time with so many disruptions. And one of the things that we want to focus on today is shine a spotlight on how we can continue using our stories to reach customers. So somebody might ask, it's such a complex balance to make between survival versus reaching my customers. It actually isn't a balance. It's a matter of unique customers to survive. So how best can you reach them? And I understand that there's so many different things that people are trying, but there's a great book that I was reading the other day, Naomi. It's by Donald Miller. It's called Building a Story Brand, Clarifying Your Message so Customers will listen, which is great because there's a lot of noise from a digital front. And I think from most media outlets, there's so much noise in terms of everyone is trying to pitch their product at consumers. And I feel like the market is saturated with a lot of noise. So it's high time that entrepreneurs find ways of building what they call their value proposition in a way that elicits the kind of attention they want from the market, from the customer. So in his book, Donald Miller talks about, I like the way he does it because he uses the analogy of movies and action movies. Now, I don't like action movies as much, but there's one that I've been watching that I would like us to focus on. So I will use it as an analogy for what I'm going to talk about that is based on Donald Miller's book. So he talks about having a character. So for instance, put yourself now, you've gone to a movie theater, or you're watching your Netflix favorite or whatever channel you watch on, and you're watching a superhero movie and you're not quite sure what is happening with the superhero. Most people will probably walk out of the movie theater within the first 5 minutes if they don't understand what the main character is talking about. So David Miller talks about the fact that your message needs to be very clear and it needs to be understood from a basic point of view. Somebody once said, if you can't explain what you do to your children, to a toddler, then there's a problem. So it talks about clarifying your message. You might be doing, a lot of entrepreneurs are hustlers and they're doing a lot of things, but what are you well known for? What is your niche? So focus on that. He also talks about heroing the customer. So that's an interesting concept because most entrepreneurs have the perception of we exist, we are the heroes trying to save the world. But Donald Miller looks at this very interestingly, and I love it. He says, picture yourself as Yoda. For those who've watched, I think, Star Wars, if I'm quoting the wrong superhero movie, please forgive me. But he says that you as an entrepreneur are you're basically guiding the customer to be a hero. So for instance, if you supply, let's say you're a banker or you are in retirement sales and in that kind of environment. So you help people plan for their retirement. So you want to explain to somebody how they will be a hero by saving now, how that's going to help them in the future. So if there's anything that we need to remember about how we sell our story, it's basically simplify your story. Your customer is your hero. And with that, make it easier for them to work with you, however you do it. And for me, I believe that the simpler the message is, the better people understand what you're doing. So with that said, those are just my thoughts. The show is about to get very interesting and with a lot of tips that we're going to learn. But we wanted to hear from our Thrive community what tips they have of how they're keeping engagement up during COVID-19. So take a listen.
My name is Paul Mwirigi. I'm the Managing Director of Capital One Group. How are we connecting with our customers? The first one is using newsletters, where we email our clients with information about marketing communications. The second one is using events. This year we had a big event in March where we invited Vusi Thembakwara from South Africa, and we had a huge event in Kampala where we invited our current clients and also past clients. The third way is through social media, whereby our digital platforms are able to share their work either through retweets or sharing the work with other people. Fourth is doing trainings, whereby we just want to invite the clients for a quarterly training just to ensure that we're connecting with them and we're engaging with them at a more personal level.
Wow. And it's great to hear what you said, Irene, and even hearing Paul's sort of story on how he's reaching customers. I know Paul from Uganda, and he's actually watching us, and he's doing the Survive to Thrive program that started recently. But I would like to know, everyone who's joining us, how are you connecting with your customers at this particular time? How are you getting customers who were your former customers to come back and buy again? How are you reaching new customers? What's working? And feel free to also tell us what's not working. So on the comment section, we'd really, really love to hear from you. A big part of why we do these sessions, Irene, is to just get to learn from each other and to provide that platform where people can be vulnerable and share. We're not sort of expert driven. It's really conversational. Yeah. So keep your comments, thoughts, questions coming as we go along. So to have this conversation, Irene, and to continue it, I'd like to introduce our two guests. Help me welcome Rory Sang, I hope I'll pronounce her second name right. Let's try this. Selo Gelo, I hope. And we are also joined by Irene Keino. Let's wait for Irene to join. Hi, Irene. It's nice to meet you. How about we start with Rory Sang? Please introduce yourself to us.
Thank you so much for having me, Naomi. My name is Rory Sang Sitokelo, and I'm the MD and founder of Roth Media Productions. And it's a 9-year-old advertising company. It is a really exciting creative communications agency. And I think just a cool thing about the business is just how culturally plugged in it is. And today, as we celebrate Heritage Day, we've all just enjoyed connecting and remembering where we come from. And I think just a little bit about myself. I am 37. I'm not married, so if you have any entrepreneurs there that are looking to connect, and I am just deeply passionate about our continent and telling our stories. And I think that is something that is, probably true for most of us.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Rory Sang, and I look forward to discussing more about how your business journey has been. But before we go there, let me welcome Irene. Irene, how about you tell us a bit more about who you are?
Hi, Naomi. Thank you, and hi everybody. My name is Irene Keino. I am the CEO and founder of EcoPlan Management, based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm also involved in community work and AMI alumni. My story is really about me growing up and having being instilled discipline because of my father. So he affected me in terms of what I am today, the businesswoman I am, the entrepreneur that I have grown into. It is all because of the platform that he gave me in terms of instilling discipline into my life. So my journey with EcoPlan, it's a professional consultancy firm. We provide urban planning and environmental assessments. Mainly our customer are the government and the 47 county governments in Kenya. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Irene, and thank you for sharing that. There's so much that goes behind who we actually become as entrepreneurs. And I hope we can talk more about that when we get to you, Irene. Rory Sang, I'd like us to start with you. And I love the fact that you're almost doing two things. You're an entrepreneur yourself, so we want to hear your journey, but also you're in this field of marketing and branding and communication and anything customer, as Irene would call it, customer centric. Yeah. So I love the fact that you play almost two hats with you. We want to find out about your journey, which a lot of entrepreneurs will resonate with, but also giving us tips on trends that you've seen businesses are doing. Yeah. So how about we start off with your entrepreneurship journey? How has it been? How did you start, and where are you now?
Well, the business, like I said, was established in 2011, which is 9 years ago. So the business just turned 9 actually this month. And I think as far as, the journey to being an entrepreneur, I was honestly raised to be an entrepreneur. A lot of people find that very interesting because, my parents were not entrepreneurs. My biological father is a farmer. My stepdad is a doctor and he owned a couple of practices, but they're really community centric and they're not really scalable entrepreneurship in the traditional sense. And my mom was in academia and also in government. So you can imagine those are 3 people that you couldn't imagine are very, very determined to develop an entrepreneur in the children that they have. But that was really the case. And I think the first time my mom asked me about just a business plan and what idea I'd want to put out to the market and what I'd want to do. I remember in the country at the time, it was very exciting. Saul Kesner, who is an entrepreneur and a hotel mogul, was building up all of these hotels, and like the next thing you're hearing about the Palace of the Lost City and Michael Jackson is going there. And you're hearing about just even in these small rural communities like Tabanchu, where I'm from, there's this incredible hotel that's just going up right before my eyes, Tabanchu Sun, and it created glamour and it associated entrepreneurialism as something that just really does not consider the elements, but offers solutions and beauty and just really community value. And that immediately connected with me. And I remember being maybe 5 or 6, and she was like, okay, cool. So if you were going to be an entrepreneur, what would you do? And immediately I said I was going to be a hotelier, of course, because it was all about Saul Kesner back in those days. That did not end up being my journey, but I remember her encouraging this bravery, encouraging this, the kind of human who cares more about themselves and their journey and more about the communities that they can impact and solving for and offering solutions to societal problems that help people either connect, help people develop, help people learn. You just have to benefit other people. And I don't find that there's anything else that solves for this the way entrepreneurism does, because any entrepreneur will tell you, you go out there and you're taught from a business and an MBA standpoint to focus on, your profits and your hard lines. Your everything is kind of all about you above the line, staying in the black, not getting into the red. And entrepreneurs don't work that way. They're very risky. They go out there with value propositions that do not seem to actually offer anything when they first come up. And actually, indeed, it's but a story at its essence. And it evolves into perhaps a platform that benefits and develops others. And it's something that completely attracted me. When I went into corporate, my huge acute interest was to learn. I wanted to learn how businesses operate. I wanted to learn how to be valuable in those businesses. I wanted to learn how to be an entrepreneur. I'm 37 years old, and you can hear from what I'm saying, the academia and the kind of key insights when I was coming up was, you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can also be a good entrepreneur. And I gave that a really, really good, I think, attempt. I did that for years in corporate. And when I gained my confidence as a professional, and when I knew I'd sharpened my tools, and when I knew that I had an idea big enough that not only did it, overwhelm me and completely consume me, but I wanted to put it out into the market, that's when perhaps at an early age at 28, I went out to the market with the value proposition that is Roth Media Communications and what it offers. And I think if you look at what our business is all about, when I started the journey, I found that a lot of the time communications in the market did not seem to really represent African communications in manners that I could relate to. It seemed a lot of the time to me that, goodness, like this isn't culturally relevant, or goodness, this doesn't connect with me, or this doesn't even reflect who I am. We're the women, we're the Black women. When we were coming up, there was a lot of the time the first Black model on the cover of Vogue, the first, all of these firsts. And that seemed very problematic to me in 2011 when I started my journey. Like, why are we still having so many firsts when Africa contributes so much? And Africa is such a strong consumer base for so many of these global and local brands. Why do we not have more representation? And I wanted to go out there and solve for this.
Wow. Thanks, Rory. And when you've said that, I remember when we were planning for this session with Irene, we were having a general conversation about the book she's reading, which is around using your brand to tell a story. And she was talking about this whole concept of like using this case study that the book uses on like Coca-Cola, for example, and how before, like growing up, I remember our ads would look the same, like Western ads would be brought into Africa and would see those ads. But it's
Right.
interesting how that has really changed, because now when you associate even with these international brands, you're beginning to see more of our like African faces, if it's an African story,
Right.
and it becoming about customers. So when you said that, it really resonated. So guys, please keep your comments coming and questions to Rory Sang around either her journey or any questions that you have around connecting with customers, because she's our expert today. Irene, I don't know if you have any questions.
You know what? When we were talking about this session, we did talk about an award-winning entrepreneur. So a lot of people might be thinking, did we sell them a truth, or is that actually happening? So, Rory, I have to get into the award Under 40 CEO. What was that affirmation for you like? What was that moment like? And I think it's an inspiration for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, to be recognized under 40. So that's a big one. Could you just walk us through the emotions and what that actually means to you personally as an entrepreneur?
Well, Irene, I've always been very recognition driven. I think just years ago, I was reading Outliers, and Malcolm Gladwell was speaking about how, the things that inspire people are either, recognition, reward, creativity, or autonomy. And all of those things have a role to play in my journey and the things that motivate me. But I think one of the strong ones has always been for me recognition. So when I do work, I wanted to change the landscape. I don't want to just create for the sake of creating. I am obsessive with the results. I'm obsessive with really just the ensuring that it's creating impact, and that it is not just for the sake of, executing marketing campaigns or creative work and advertising campaigns, but to make sure that they are actually touching our hearts and souls and our minds, and shaping how we communicate, shaping how we exist, shaping how the culture around our media is consumed. All of those things were very important to me. So when Under 40 CEO got in touch with me, I was absolutely surprised, because I have always been so focused on the industry related recognition, right? So for me, it was always about winning a Prism Award, winning a Loerie, winning a Cannes Lion, things that relate to our industry. And, we've made great inroads, and we've won a lot of exciting awards, and we've been recognized in a lot of really exciting platforms, such as the Cannes Lions, which is the global creative communication benchmark really for me, Loeries, which are the local benchmarks for me, and we've won a Prism Gold this year. But when Under 40 CEO came about, it wasn't about the business suddenly, it was about me as an entrepreneur, and I hadn't ever really been focused on that. I'd always wanted the business to get somewhere, so I had to pause and really, I think I was quite, I don't want to say taken aback, but I was very pleasantly surprised, because as a woman, I don't expect recognition. You fight so hard for it. So to find myself in a space where I was recognized, and I was recognized for my efforts as an entrepreneur, something that's so important to me. Even just outside the business, just what my community impact has been, that was very gratifying, and it just really encouraged me to do more. It put me in a network of people I greatly admire. It put me in a network that I learn from every day, that I want to contribute positively to. It put me in a network that is, I think, by and large, the most innovative Africans. People that are just doing the most phenomenal things on the continent. And for me, Roth isn't about, being a world-class agency. It's about African excellence. I want it to be an African success story. I don't want it to compete with Ogilvy. I want it to compete with itself. Our rich heritage is what we draw from, the things that our ancestors have done before us that were just so phenomenal. So I think Under 40 CEO being something of the continent, being something that connected me to other just incredible CEOs on the continent, really, really resonated with me and excited me greatly. And I am extremely honored. And I can only hope to deserve it, every day that I continue on my journey.
That's amazing. And congratulations, a mighty congratulations from all of us.
You.
And we do wish you many, many, many more, many, many, many more awards. Naomi, let's bring back Irene in the conversation as we wait for Irene to join us. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Keep your questions coming in. I can see we have people who are joining us from Clarice is joining us from LinkedIn, and we've got Jonathan Daniels based in Belgium, and working in some South African business schools, who's joining us from Facebook. Irene, welcome back. Naomi?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Irene Keino, just picking up from where you left off on your story, and I loved the fact that you brought in your father, who has made you the woman you are today. And I'd like you to speak more about that in terms of where did your entrepreneurship journey sort of really begin, and what has driven you to this far where you are?
Thank you, Naomi. Growing up as a young girl, I remember we grew up on a farm. Of course, everybody had chores to do. And I always loved going to school. At the end of each term, our father used to call us, all of us in a line, and tell us, everybody bring your report cards, I want to see. And those ones who were not number 1 to 10 really used to take the trail. And I think most of my brothers were actually trailing in class. I remember one day when my father looked at my report card and told me, well done. I'd actually really, really worked hard. I always tried to aim that I should be in 1 or 10 position. Not that I'm very clever, but I just tried. It's just effort. And I graduated through all my master's taking up urban planning. This resonates with me very well because I had to put in a lot of work, and I understood that hard work pays. Discipline is the key to achieving whatever you wanted in life. This was really a big learning moment for me. All dreams are indeed valid. Anybody can do anything. You just have to put focus on in your journey. So my father, a little bit about my father, he's Keino, the first Kenyan Olympic medalist. He won the medal in Mexico, 1968. He rose from a very humble background. His father died very early, so he was raised up by relatives, but he became a very top athlete. And I'm really humbled that you can actually start from the bottom and just move up on the top. I remember he did not push us to take up sports, but he just told us, ensure you get your education, ensure you graduate. That was always ringing in our ears. He shaped me into a powerful woman and an entrepreneur that I am today. I'm also instilling the same discipline in my children. They have to know that in life you have to have an education. But education cannot be obtained without putting effort. No one actually thrives in education without working hard. So it's only through discipline that one can achieve what they set their minds on. As I talked about the business, I'm running an EcoPlan, a business currently called EcoPlan Management. It's professional consultancies. But apart from that, I'm also involved in a number of things. I'm starting Irene Keino Foundation, an activewear, and my personal brand. And I felt that as a young, vibrant urban planner, when I used to work in the public sector, there was a routine that was the routine was the same day in, day out. I really became bored. I took a gamble and decided I need to ensure that I get certified as a professional planner. And I launched EcoPlan brand in 2005, August. I started in my bedroom. For that whole year, I used one bedroom to start until a friend and my partner decided to offer us one room and one staff. So we started the journey. The main reason was to build a business with a social purpose, whose focus was to create a better world and, of course, ensure that I'm financially stable. In achieving all this that I have done, discipline has been the foundation of my entire life and has made me grow and become resilient. Sometimes I ask myself, why am I doing these very many things? But you know, at the bottom of at the bottom of my mind, I see that I am instilling the same discipline in the people I meet, in students I interact with. So it's good, and I'm happy.
Yeah. Irene Keino, I just love the fact that the topic of this conversation was using your brand story to connect with customers. And I just like for you, and I didn't know this in the very beginning, how what I instantly connected with was your past and your childhood and what you went through and how it's who you are now. Almost I feel like I can trust you, you know, like just instantly I feel like, oh my goodness, I feel like I can trust Irene. But let's talk about what are the other things that you're sort of doing as a business entrepreneur, especially now, to connect with your customers? Because when the pandemic hits, it disrupted our relationship with our customers. How have you sort of navigated that? Or maybe your business was not really affected, maybe it was an opportunity. So please speak to that in terms of now and what you're doing to sort of connect with your customers.
Thank you, Naomi. This season is like no other. I have never experienced it in my entire life. And I think the same applies to everybody in this room. The lockdown, the curfew, the social distance measures, the impacts on reduced sales, reduced volume, job cuts, business lockdowns. Actually, we were affected because even if we provide a professional consultancies, our work mainly is in the field. I'm actually 90% in the field because that's what I do. We plan towns. So I actually have to go and ensure I get what is the vision of the local people in trying to input it in the plan that I want to do for that specific town. So COVID has created a new customer. There is increased global digital revenue as compared to last year. There are very new standards of engagement with customers. They now prefer delivery options than before. There has been increased social commerce, and customers are more conscious on what they buy and the brands that they will support. How then can we take opportunity, use this as an opportunity for us? What we did, we realized that we needed to align our business operations in order to reach out to our customers. Embracing the digital space was the way to go to promote ourselves. As an entrepreneur, my number one focus was that EcoPlan needed to survive. We cannot die. We had to do everything that we needed to do to ensure we survived. So my personal brand is anchored on the principle of discipline and hard work. I was ready to work hard and with my team to achieve this goal. We did a few things. There are a number of free opportunities in the market. For example, Microsoft is giving free training courses which are relevant to our areas. For example, like data analysis, data collection, that's really relevant to us. So we took the chance, me and my team, and decided to get onto the training. And then there are also a number of free virtual trainings, just like now, what I've just completed the AMI, and I'm also on another one called AWEC. And I'm really pleased and proud that I joined AMI, because the tools that are on the platform, they have really enhanced my skills in terms of financial management. I never used to look at audited accounts. Bookkeeping, that was the work of the auditor. I would just throw away the files, let him deal. But right now, I can actually look at an income statement. I even know how to determine my cost of goods sold. I know what my balance sheet is. I can track my money. And even the most important one that I attended is the COVID survival bootcamp. That one every entrepreneur has to attend. It's very good. I decided to ensure that we entrench our vision alongside the business operations with my team. It is important that your team carries your vision, because if they don't, then you are the only one running with your vision and it won't go far. The goodness with us, we are few, we are 10, so it's easy to manage the team. COVID made us virtually close down. We work remotely, but right now we've opened like maybe 50%, but we're not fully opened. The story of discipline, and in fact, that's what I always tell my staff. It aligned to the person I am today, and I always instill into the business. Let us build a habit together. Let us innovate together. Let us think together. Let us resonate together. Let us build our future together. So those are some of the few things that we have taken as EcoPlan. And we have survived. I mean, we are still working, apart from the 50% pay cut from all of us, but we are surviving. Thank you.
Wow. That's splendid. It's great to hear what entrepreneurs are doing. And kudos to you, Irene, and your team. You're doing the most to survive. So that's incredible. Rory, I just want to come back to you and going back to what makes, you've worked with a lot of brands. What makes a good brand story? And you know, in the context of COVID, in the context of so many things that most companies would say, I don't have budget or whatnot. So what do you, in your professional opinion, think makes a good story? What are those elements that entrepreneurs need to start integrating in what they talk about when they talk about their value proposition?
I think the first thing, and we hear this all the time. Sorry, there's a little bit of an echo. Is that me?
You're actually okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. No, perfect. I think the first thing is a good brand story is authentic. A good brand story is novel. And you can only be novel and authentic if you're true to you and true to what you're about. So I think a lot of the time, businesses are forced to pivot and package who they are to create propositions for the market. But when I need a good brand story, I don't go outside. I don't look at the trends in the market. I don't look at what's happening at all. I look at our culture and I speak to my team and I connect to who and what it is we're trying to do internally. And then I take that out. So I think one of the first things is when people say authentic and you look out and not in, you will not have an original, you will not have a unique selling proposition. You will have a proposition that has been seen before and it will not have cut through. And it will absolutely impact your business negatively. So you have to know who you are why you are doing what you're doing, what is your purpose, what and who is it benefiting, and why is it important? Why should we listen to it? Why should we look at you? You know, everyone is trying to make it. Why are you critical? Why are you important? And why are you one of the things that we have to pay attention to, especially in a time where we're completely bombarded by communication. We're all going through a pandemic. Everybody has a lot on their plate, a lot to do, balancing family, balancing this new business dynamic of working from home, balancing your health and keeping your staff safe. And there's so much going on, right? If you are not serving your communities and you are self-serving, if your story is absolutely not connecting authentically, it will not cut it. So I always think of, these great entrepreneurs that I've looked up to. I found out something, reading up an article where they interviewed Elon Musk's mother, and she was speaking about her son. And she said that her son sought to solve problems that impacted humans. That's it. That is his business model. So initially it was PayPal, and it was all about, how do we create these networks for people to trade online? And it became this massive thing. And of course, he has a very innovative approach, Tesla, SpaceX, and all of these different things. But it leads to all of these profitable brand derivatives, like he can create solar panels for communities and do scalable things that others just seem to not be able to access, and create such value. And that's because he's trying to solve for more than himself, but he's true to his purpose. So the first thing about a brand story is it has to absolutely be authentic. It has to be novel. You cannot be novel unless you're unique. You cannot be unique unless you're true to yourself. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you cannot look to innovate by looking around you. You have to believe that what you offer is absolutely pivotal to everyone in the world. And sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're still good.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That it's pivotal to more than just your immediate community, and that's what scaling looks like, right? That's when your brand and business story can touch more people than you could ever have dreamed of and ever have imagined. And before you do anything, you have to distill your story in what is culturally relevant, what is shaping your story should be informed by your experience and your experience only. You have to look to transcend trends. A lot of brands and businesses look to speak to trends, and I go the other direction. I go into what is culturally centric to me, what makes me unique, what makes all of these millions of ancestors that have existed for me to be sitting here today. What helps me build a big idea around that story, what helps me represent where I'm from and create value around where I'm from. And then I'm looking immediately beyond just myself, and I'm immediately connecting to just probably the most abundant story ever. And that is the story of us and who we are. And telling that story is so critical right now. We've had that story hijacked so many times. So many brands have come onto our continent and try to shape who we are because we didn't tell our own stories. So for me, telling every single unique business and brand story from every single young African, old African, any African who is looking to benefit their community is worth telling. It's so worth telling that, I would put my money behind any of those brands any day. And we have seen such great successes because those stories connect, because they reflect who it is that we are. So being authentic and being novel is critical, and can only do those things if you are true to who you are, if you find your purpose, and if you make sure that nobody shapes who you are for you.
Wow. I suppose your passion speaks through the things that you put out, right? So as an entrepreneur, whatever you're passionate about, you will develop those things. So your brand will have those values. I love that. Authenticity. What is at the core of your business? What is at the core of your passion? Why did you start what you're doing? And that's what people want to see. I don't know if you have any questions, but before I go to Naomi, I just wanted to touch on something that I personally battle with, the issue of being, we talk about entrepreneurs being more consumeristic, right? Consumer centric. Yes. You want to put your consumer as the hero of your story. But I also battle with the aspect of, I still want to remain authentic to why I started my business. and I still want to serve my consumers. So how do you find the balance between the two in such a way that you're not compromising either? You're still serving your customers and being true to yourself.
Yes. Well, I think drop the technical language. Stop speaking about consumers, stop speaking about customers, and start speaking about humans. And you'll find that you're solving for a lot more, and you are delving into insights that are a lot more palpable and true to what people are experiencing. So as you go out there and you try to segment all these very nuanced and diverse people, and we're speaking to what is called the individual collective in this day and age, right? Everyone is so individual, but in this big collective, and so many things nuance and shape what's important to this collective. But the most important thing I learned this year from just an incredible social anthropologist who is also a business strategy champion. She said, stop speaking about consumers. It forces like a baggage and a history that is probably not even relevant for the new world. Why don't you start speaking to humans? Why don't you start saying humans? Because once you start saying humans, you have humanized that interaction, you've humanized that solution, you've humanized that brand proposition, and you are finding yourselves at just the cracks of literally that insight, because that's all you're looking for now. You're not looking for how to benefit them and shape shift your story to fit and retrofit that. It's two humans connecting. How effective are we at connecting two humans? How many times have you sat down in front of somebody and made meaningful connections? And take that thinking into your business, and you will find that you are shaping a completely new way of connecting to your teams and connecting to your customers and connecting to your consumers. So I don't forget that, of course, I have customers and of course I have consumers. Of course not, but I look for the human first. You cannot be consumer centric if you're not speaking to humans. So when I went into this pandemic, I just made a decision, Irene and Naomi. I said, we're just going to make it. There's no way I've worked 9 years and built this up for a pandemic to end it in 2020. Whatever 2020 brings, guess what's going to happen? We will have our health, we will have our business, and we will have our culture, which will keep us fighting fit in this time, right? So we really worked on those things as we went into this pandemic. And more importantly, we listened to each other, because we had to work away from each other for the first time. We had to collaborate when we weren't in a room together. Access to our tools was different. We had to build different business frameworks to be able to deliver to our customers and our clients in the same way as we've been able to all of these years. That's been award-winning. How do you create award-winning work when you can't connect? You connect as humans first. So our culture, our work-life balance, in this pandemic, I found that we started having different conversations with our suppliers. They became our partners because we understood the humans behind the word suppliers and what their need states were. And they partnered us back as clients and understood what our need states were. And we found ways to mirror each other and to keep each other in play. So every single business that is partnered to ours has made it. Every single client that has worked with us has made it. None of those brands have faltered because the humans were important. And Irene, I would encourage every single entrepreneur on your platform here, every single entrepreneur that is in this room today, to realize that when we realize that we're not here for ourselves, we're not here to hyper segment, we're not here to only consume, mega data, we're here to connect. We're here to represent what is culturally going on around us, because there is one thing that holds true, Irene, and I always repeat it in every talk that I'm invited to. We always know that, strategy trumps tactics, but culture eats strategy for breakfast. We cannot forget this. A pandemic will shut you down because there's a whole new culture around this pandemic that you have absolutely no control of. So if you do not find these connections within a time like that, it is absolutely dangerous for your business. So I would encourage everybody to make sure that find the humans that make up your community and connect. Tell them your story, tell them your needs, meet their needs, partner them.
Yeah, Rory sang, and I'll also bring in Irene Keino. I just love what the two of you said. And Irene said, we had to survive. We just had to survive. Rory, you said the same. Like, there's just this sheer will and determination. And I think even with the audience as well, for enterprises during this time in Africa to survive? And I think we will. I believe we will. I was talking to an entrepreneur this morning, and she said, you know what, Naomi, we like to read a lot as a continent from other people and all that. But she said, you know what, Naomi, there's no one has ever gone through a pandemic in this generation we are living in. No one has gone through. So there's no book on how to survive a pandemic. We are the ones who will write the book. We are the ones who will sort of write our future. And I like that, the fact that we just have that resolve to survive. So I'd like us to bring in the audience because we have so many questions. So we'll try and take as many as we can. We'll almost do a quick fire with these questions so that we can answer as many as we can. So the first question is a question we get a lot. We have a question from Samuel who's on LinkedIn about raising capital for his business. He's a youth, but I think overall, Rory Sang, how did you raise capital for your business? And we'll ask the same to Irene.
I didn't raise capital. I relied on relational capital. So if your idea is strong enough, you are able to bring and build a community around it. So I did not go into capital raising. When I left corporate, I had a provident fund, of course, that's for my retirement. And I put that in a unit trust, and I took what I needed to really just get a laptop, get somewhere to connect from. I think the starting capital of this business could not have been more than 20,000 Rand, because it was a laptop and just a couple of tools to begin the idea. And then I started to build the networks around that idea to make it stronger. So you do not, every time, I go into conversations like this, people are like, how do we raise capital? You don't have to raise capital. If you have relational capital and you build those networks and you build those relationships, you will find doors opening that are creating opportunities for you, whether you have money or not. If we all have to sit and wait for capital raising, unfortunately, it is a completely different model, which seeks to benefit a completely different way of doing business. And it's not always that it will be that those investors want to invest in you and your idea. So you have to invest in you and your idea by the networks and the time you spend developing your relational capital. So we're 9 years down the line. We're 25 people deep. We are doubling our turnover. We are a 60 million Rand company at the end of our fiscal. That is with zero money plugged in. And I want every African entrepreneur to understand that, because once we know what we're capable of, there's nothing stopping us, not even the requisite capital.
Yeah. Irene Keino, do you want to chip in to that? How are you able to sort of get money to start running your business?
I think I agree with the Rory Sang. I hope I'm pronouncing the name well.
You are, Irene.
As I said before, I used one bedroom. I decided to put one bedroom there because the idea is in you. And the idea is your qualification. So within my network and my partner's network, we started the idea. So we got a few jobs, and that built our network. And one thing I realized is, as Rory Sang has said, you don't have to start with capital, because everybody then will say, I can't do it because I don't have capital. But you can start with the little minimum. And I kept saying there are so many tools on social media that you can use in terms of marketing, in terms of just reading about starting your business, improving your business. So long as you're registered and you're compliant, I think you can start with very, very, very minimal savings, probably.
Yeah. Irene, our
Start
Irene,
where you are. Start where you are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Hey, start where you are.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so I want to pose this question to both.
I hope you can all hear me.
Naomi, we can hear you. Yeah. All right. I was just going to pose the next question to Rory. Rory Sang. Somebody, Shara on YouTube is asking, I read building a story brand. How can an entrepreneur conserve resources while at the same time accumulating more opportunities, especially right now during survival and thriving? So I guess basically they're asking about how to balance between survival versus still putting themselves out there Because that's a question most people ask. Budget, budget, budget. Do we have the budget to put ourselves up there?
I say excuse. We have all these companies that have existed to connect us, and we're going to use them or we won't. We all know putting out thought leadership pieces on LinkedIn is going to profile your business. We all know if you look at Rihanna's Fenty page, of course it's very brand driven and there's like investment behind that. But if you look at her personal page, all she does is continue speaking about her brand. There was a time that her page was, constantly her music or where she's going or her travels, and now it's consistently all about what she's launching. So there are platforms to communicate. There's small investment needed. We have to stop making excuses because we have to rise. The time is gone. This pandemic is going to create even more complexity in how we do business in the future, and we can't rely on the same tools like capital, like budget, like resourcing. Make your idea strong and the doors will open with existing free resources.
That's great.
Yeah.
Dambi, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah. The question is from Imuhira from Rwanda. He's watching on YouTube, and I love this question. It's directed to you, Irene, but we'll have both of you answer. Do you face any first of all, do you have gender-specific pride in the business that you do? And also, what challenges and ways, what are the challenges and ways to overcome as a woman in business?
Thank you. I didn't get his name. Yeah, of course. Yeah, my industry is really male dominated. You really have to be strong, resilient. Even when we put in bids for, like if we are doing a bid for a construction of a dam or a road, 90% or 99% of all those consultants sitting on that table are men. So you actually have to style yourself and be able to speak within that crowd so that the men can listen. Yes, and if I think if you take gender as something that is going to hinder your improvement, that is the wrong way or approach to get. To me, I believe as a woman, I'm just equally qualified as any man, any architect sitting on that table, and I am ready to deal with any one of them. Because I try to ensure that within my space of urban planning, I am quite knowledgeable, so that no one can go out there and say, oh, Ecoplan doesn't know what they're doing, or that woman doesn't know, or she's hiding behind somebody and somebody. But you just have to ensure you try to ensure that you're the good at what you do. Be a good planner. Like I try to network. I've joined International Planning Association. I network with the people there, the planners there. You kind of learn the standard which they are doing is really low compared to the standard of plans that we do in Africa. But those are skills that I've brought, and I try to improve them in any planning project that I do. But gender shouldn't be a hindrance to anybody.
Wow,
that's amazing. Yeah.
Rory, will you add, like, so that we're able to get to these questions? Just a quick comment.
Yes, sure. I will add. I couldn't agree with Irene more, and I actually believe that women make better entrepreneurs. So I think that the world of entrepreneurship and business has been in the hands of males for a very long time. We can see all these problems that have come as a result of it. We know that we have 5% CEOs in the world that are women, and we know that when you look at all these defunct businesses, the businesses that have gone down, these communities that have been exploited, men and their model of entrepreneurship is one thing. And I think it's time to actually just create space for women who typically benefit strong networks into communities and benefit more than just themselves. They're nurturers, they nurture ideas, they nurture brand stories, they tell other people's stories, they come up for other people, and they do it for more than just profit. And when you give women 5 rand, if I can speak to, it stretches so much, because of who they need to look after and just how conscientious they are of it. So I think women make great entrepreneurs, and I back women entrepreneurs in everything that I do, and I try and support them in the little way that I can. So I think the most important thing is women must understand it's their time to rise. If you think everything in the business world is perfect, think again and think, what can I contribute? What can I bring in? What can I do to shape and improve that community so that it's more representative and it's doing more because I can do more as a woman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
Irene, before you go
spectacular.
to the next question, Irene, before you go to the next question, I just had a comment to add that I know we have a panel of 4 ladies, so AMI is a gender bipartisan organization. So we do have male entrepreneurs.
We do.
We do try and bring them into, we do try and bring them into conversations as
Good
well.
for
It
them.
just
Good for
happens
them.
that today, just today, yeah. So Irene,
Naomi, I think you did that on purpose.
Well, we need to encourage more female entrepreneurs. So this was probably
do.
orchestrated that way. So yeah. So Rory, I've got one question for you. Somebody's asking, Wezi on Facebook is asking, when working with brands, what has been your biggest hurdle when pitching creative concepts?
So I think that you have to stress test your creative concepts. A lot of the time, we don't define our standards, and then we go out there with something that is regurgitating trends or regurgitating data, and we have not even tried to be creative in what we're doing. So I believe in stress testing design and creative work. I believe in stress testing executions of that work to better protect the budgets of my clients and to better ensure that they're able to reach their goals. So I believe in stress testing. So when I've done that, all of the work to make sure that I've proved the concept and I know that it will work in market. And this might mean putting in investments myself in things like launching the idea as a soft launch and really testing in the market and then bringing back insights to my client to say, here's how it performed in these spaces. Here's how we think it'll perform for you. You can only be confident when you're prepared. Irene spoke about being extremely qualified as a town planner. I speak about being extremely prepared as a marketer and a creative communication specialist. So I make sure that I stress test. I make sure that my strategic planning is solid, and that when I go back to my client, I myself believe in that idea, because you cannot defend something that you're not invested in. So, I get skin in the game. I put it in front of my client, knowing exactly how to speak to it, being able to demonstrate its efficacies. And there will, Wezi, be no way that you can be insecure doing that. I believe in setting myself on fire. I always say that to my team lately. Set yourself on fire, set those ideas on fire, stress test them, ask the right question, start with the question, go all over the place, making sure you are developing a prepared approach in what you're packaging for your clients. Don't waste people's time. By the time you sit in front of them, they are listening to you because you're the expert. Nobody will know how to develop and to execute that idea better than you. Wezi, I hope that helps.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Rory. I'm trying to get the 2 of you ladies to answer as many questions as you can, and keep your questions coming. We'll try and get them answered. So there's a question here around from Yakini, who's watching on Facebook. Irene, it's directed to you. How do you handle this statement from a client? We would get back to you. Yeah, basically, how do you handle rejection? Running a business as an entrepreneur is tough. Sometimes you get no's, sometimes you get yeses. How do you handle rejection?
Oh, wow. That's something that I hadn't expected to be asked. I think as an entrepreneur, just be positive. Don't retaliate. Listen. First of all, listen, because the rejection has a reason why they're rejecting you. And I always believe that once you listen, then you can work on the things that they raised. And always, I think it's always good to get a feedback on why they rejected you. Like even when I put in a bid, let's say I put in a bid in the county, and we don't get shortlisted, probably I don't know why, the reason. I actually do seek out to find out what did I do wrong, so that when the next bid comes in, I improve on those little points, and it actually gives me a step forward for the next bid. So I think one shouldn't take it like it's a bad thing to be rejected. In life, nothing is always positive. So when you start on that standing point, then you're able to accept what people tell you.
Yeah, thanks, Irene. Rory, do you have a one statement answer on how you handle rejection as an entrepreneur?
like Irene. So I learn. I use that as a huge learning opportunity. Rejection is a good thing. All those closed doors are only sharpening you. You know, everyone uses the example of diamonds being built under pressure, right? I think that something that is appreciated has gone through a lot of critique, right? For you to have something that is worth appreciating, like art, there's the art critique who will say something about the work that you're putting out. So it cannot be personal, but also remember that when you have gone and taken the feedback on board, you've built something that you can reshop to someone else. It might have many other factors. It's not the right time for that idea. It's not the right time for that piece of creative, or you're not best suited to deliver for that client. But if you've taken the feedback on board, you've actually gained a lot more value that you can then take forward to someone else. Other doors
That's
will
great.
open.
Yeah.
Learn.
Awesome. Thanks, Rory, for that. Got one more question. I will pose it to Rory as an industry professional in this sector. We've got a question from Nyuguto, who is watching us from YouTube. He says, as an upcoming entrepreneur, is it wise to use generic campaigns in form of ads on social media platforms as a way of acquiring customer data in order to conduct right segmentation of questions? I want to tie that question with another one from somebody on Facebook. I'll find it just now, who was asking about creating awareness. How do they start? Are there simple steps that they can take to creating publicity around their product, around what they do as a company?
Well, the answer is very simple. Firstly, anything generic and lukewarm is a waste of time. You cannot be looking to create and to learn and to receive data from different consumer segments by putting out generic ads. You can't say anything like that in this just day and age. You have to be extremely well crafted to actually land a proposition right now. So go back and set yourself on fire. When you believe in what you're putting out, it will be channel agnostic, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's going out as a TVC, a billboard, a radio ad, a free organic post on social media. It will still have impact for you because your story will have cut through. It goes right back to the theme of this conversation today. Craft and sharpen your story, get your elevator pitch right, and you can put this in any channel that, I work to be channel agnostic at all times. A great idea is a great idea. Things that have no investment gain momentum all the time. All the time we've watched things go viral. Who do you think put money into that? No one. But the concept was gaining momentum because it was connecting. So go and tell your story correctly first to yourself before you waste anyone's time with generic posts to gain awareness. And then the story of gaining awareness is very simple. There are many free tools. There's many things offered to you. The world is abundant. And when you get into that mindset, you will find opportunity. You have to realize that YouTube, Facebook, social media platforms, LinkedIn, Google Ads, SEO, there's so many things that will help you to tell your story. But if your story is not important, and first it has to be important to you, so it has to be good, it will not land. So I would encourage everybody to make sure that they craft great, original, thought-provoking, purposeful, set on fire ideas that tell the story of why they are here in our communities and why we should listen to them, and then put it out. And I'm happy to, support with any curriculum talk that will help them put this out there.
We will definitely make use of that for our next session. Thanks for that. Just before I hand over to Naomi, I just wanted to read out a shout out actually for you, Rory. It's from Mads. She says, yes, I should say it. Yes, that's how she said it. Yes, award-winning female for other females. I love Rory. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for her pushing me and seeing what I didn't see in myself. So that's amazing. Thanks for that. It's an affirmation of how you're helping other people and changing other people's lives. So Naomi, over to you.
Yes, and I have one request, ladies, as we approach the end of this session today. If you could go and respond to questions that we've received on our Facebook page in particular, that would be really, really good to get a response to some of these questions that we couldn't get access to and answer now. And also, I'd like to invite Irene Keino to just leave us with your last words, almost last words of wisdom. After all has been said today, and the questions that you've received from our audience, what do you want us to go home with?
To me, personal branding has been a journey. I really didn't know what it is, because it's so intense in terms of its content. I really had to get some consultants to help me. So anybody can do personal branding. You don't have to have a lot of money, as Rory has said. There are small things that you can use. So yes, everybody, every woman, I encourage every woman to go out there and brand themselves, because it's only through branding that you can get recognized.
Wow. Thank you for that, Irene. And we wish you the very best in your journey. And I know we probably didn't say this in the beginning, but you're in an industry where you're not able to sort of market your business or do direct sales. So you're doing that through your story. You're doing that through your brand, and it's just good to see your journey. And we're very, very proud of you. So please go to our Facebook and reply to all the comments as you can, even as we approach the end. Thank you, Irene. Rory Sang, I'll take it back to you. And gosh, we had so many questions that I hope you could get answered.
I will try.
What do you think?
I will try my best on Facebook.
Yeah. As we leave today, what practical steps can entrepreneurs take so that they're able to tell their stories better? What practical things can they do?
I think entrepreneurs need to do a gap analysis. They have to realize that there's a huge, huge, huge equity behind businesses that have their story straight, right? So the Apple story is well known, Nike, Shoe Dog, all of these different things. And they're completely channel agnostic. You are wasting people's time if you think that you just need to buy an ad and a post and have a pretty picture to represent who you are. You have to respect who you are, and you have to not be afraid of who you are. When you're not afraid of your story, it sets you just alight, it ignites you, it pushes you out there, and it just galvanizes you. So I want to encourage us to be confident. There is a huge problem with, I think, by and large, imposter syndrome, perhaps in Black businesses and African businesses, because we are not your traditional entrepreneur, right? We're new on the market. All of these other businesses have been there for years and years and years. I would encourage you to know that we are valuable and we offer so much, and we've been valuable for a millennia. You just look to who we are, and it'll give you the confidence to act and to own and tell your story. And you will not be afraid anymore. You will not be afraid of any boardroom. You will not be afraid of any rejection. You will know there's such great value in what you offer that telling it will be easy.
Wow. Thank you, Rory. And how can we be in touch with you or Roth Media after this conversation?
Of course. So I think that the most reasonable space is probably through my Instagram page, which is at Rory, RORI _ set, ACT, which is short for Rory Sang Setlogelo, which one of you struggled with. I don't know who it was, Setlogelo. But you can reach me on there. It's the same on Snapchat. It is the same on Instagram, Twitter, Skype. So, you can always reach me on Rory _ set. And for the business, you can reach out to Roth _ media, which will have so many professionals engaged from my business that are absolutely phenomenal and have probably informed everything that I know and have shaped and grown me so much in the communities that we represent that are, available. We can have these conversations with entrepreneurs and just grow together. I have by no means made it. I'm on a journey. And when we do the journey together, we, know what they say about you go fast alone, but you go further together.
Yeah. Thank you, Rory. And we look forward to seeing you on the comment section with Irene. And for Irene, she did mention this, but she's messaged me. You could check out her company. It's called Ecoplan Management, and they have a website. They are on all social media platforms on that name. So thank you, Rory, for taking time. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, we've come. Yeah.
I want to thank you for introducing me to Irene. Like, she was so inspirational. And thank you so much, Naomi and Irene, for having me. The two Irenes.
Thank you, Rory.
It was our pleasure. Thanks, Rory.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of Africa Thrive Live. I want to thank all of you for making time to join us. We hope this session was of value to you, and we hope to keep the conversation going as much as we can on the comment section on YouTube and on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well. And I want to thank our guests, Irene Keino of Ecoplan, and also Rory Sang of Roth Media. Thank you, ladies, for taking the time to join us. And I want to encourage all of us, and particularly female entrepreneurs, to apply for the Survive to Thrive program, which is a program that's available to support entrepreneurs at this time to continue to grow their businesses and get strategies on how to navigate the challenges of today and also the opportunities. Yeah. So we encourage all, like I said in the beginning, we encourage even male participants, but we also do encourage female-owned businesses to apply. And the application deadline is 16th of October. Yeah. And also, I want to encourage all of you who are watching us, let's meet next Wednesday for our speed networking session. So I would have said carry your business cards, but this is virtual speed networking. So come, we show you how it's done. Join us, just register on the Thrive page, and join us next week on Wednesday, the 30th. Come, let's network with one another. It will be more interactive because we'll be speaking one-on-one with you in groups. So come, if it's the first time you're experiencing a virtual speed networking, we look forward to introducing you to this session. Yeah. So please check out our website, africanmanagers.org/thrive, and you can get access to so many free resources, guys, opportunities that are available for you. Yeah. So on behalf of the African Management Institute, I have been your co-host, Naomi Kirungu, and I wish you all a good evening. And Irene, I wish you a fabulous Heritage Day, and thank you for taking your public holiday to still co-host this conversation with me.
It's been a pleasure, Naomi, and thank you everybody for joining us and giving us a couple of hours. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.